Hello everybody. Today is Saturday and we're starting with our show, My Story, Very Normal People. You know that people, VIP are on TVs and everywhere you see their faces, their pictures on the trains or on the bus or whatever you move. But here it's our story, the normal people, the honest people, not just the fake people, what we see on TV. And today in our show, we have Sterling Shrout. He's one of the best that we have found around. So, Sterling, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Sterling. I live in Dayton, Ohio. 30 years old recently. And I've got two small ones. I got a 6-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son.
Oh,
So,
so good.
yeah,
so,
fatherhood.
thanks very much for accepting our invitation to come and join in our show. And it'll be a pleasure to have you to listen what you have to say and to share what you have in your heart with us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Arthur.
So, uh, can you please tell us a little bit about your life? What do you do at the
Uh,
moment?
so, so right now, I've got a partnership with an old neighbor, or yeah, we'll say that for now. An old neighbor of mine. We buy multifamily houses. He puts up the money for it. I rehab them, and at the end of it, we put tenants in it. We keep them, and then that difference between what we put into it and what it's worth when we're done, we split that difference. So right now we're doing that to kind of build for a future,
Okay,
and
that's good
that's
to
my
know.
business.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But I bet that your life hasn't been like this. I mean, you haven't been here from the very beginning. So, can you please tell us where were you before you reached in this position that you are now?
Okay. So for the last, for the last decade, I was I was in prison for 3 years. After that, I wasn't doing anything productive with my life. At certain points, I made attempts to rehab and things like that, but in between, I would be a handyman because as a felon, it was harder to get a job. So I would pick up a drywall job here, or fix somebody's toilet, or clean out a house, things like that. So along the last decade, I was picking up skills that would lead me towards carpentry or remodeling houses or anything to do with that. That was just the easiest work to find, and I picked up tools along the way. And then about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I had enough tools of my own that I started just being a general handyman. And I had a few clients that I worked for the most. Um,
Hmm.
so that that's the lead up there. I guess yeah, a year and a half ago is when I had a really bad incident that caused me to like stay sober so far. Let me think. My son was born a couple years ago.
Hmm.
Then I overdosed
Oh,
shortly after that.
I
Yeah, there
I have
wasn't
a
a lot of
question. Yeah,
success.
in this frame, sorry for interrupting you. I know that addiction is not easy, especially to come out
Mm.
of that. It's not easy. I know people that they have tried not once, not twice, many times, and they couldn't. So please, can you tell us what what helped you to be out of that?
So I had small bits of success. Like you said, I've personally tried. Maybe really tried 5, 6 times. Um, what made the biggest impact was I was a new dad and I had relapsed, and I had an overdose, and certain parts of that I remember, and I don't know if it was just a tragic enough thing or if that was my bottom, as
I
people
see.
in addiction recovery refer to it. But that made me realize I don't want to die. I really want to live. I really enjoy my family. I'm blessed to have the people in my family that I have, my son and future wife, my fiance, and her daughter, which I've had her since she was 3. I wasn't taking those relationships seriously enough, and I wasn't putting the effort into them. And like, I have a responsibility to stay sober. And if I want my son to have a dad growing up, that's something I have to stay sober, because heroin addiction is not something to play with.
So it was
So
like you had I said you had the reason why to be sober, let's say, something that will pull you out, let's say, out of the pool that you were, you know. Ah,
yeah, so that initially pulled me out, and then about 6 months after that, I like I that's when I say I developed my like official why. Like my favorite quote is Friedrich Nietzsche, where it says, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how."
all right.
I was sitting down and I was writing out a vision plan for my future, as if anything was possible, and just no barriers. And like during writing that out, I was thinking, it makes me emotional thinking about it. I was thinking about having a successful family, like having a full family unit. And that's something I'd never had, and I wanted to create. And like giving my family the life they deserve. And then that something there was all that beginning of like, where I was starting to learn like what I could actually do, as a felon, how I could make money and support my family. And
Right.
um, yeah, the power of investing in yourself, and working on yourself and developing self worth.
Mhm.
All those things have helped stay sober since then.
And actually, uh, let's say that you started with nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
To come back, let's say, when you were recovered, you started from nothing, right?
Yes.
Uh, what was the most difficult thing for you to start with nothing?
So when you don't have many resources, it's hard to be really hopeful. Like, so after the overdose, my car got impounded. My $600 car got impounded. So I lost my transportation. Then of course, there was charges that came with that, which, I don't know, the grace of God or whatever, the universe.
Mhm.
The treatment I went into, there's a law here that if you go into treatment afterwards, which I did, my lawyer told me about, my public um, defender told me about, that they would drop your charges. So I didn't have to go back on probation. I was on probation and parole for the last 13 years.
Mhm.
So I got super lucky there. But, I didn't have anything saved up. I was, spending everything I had daily. So going from that state to trying to get my stuff together, um, rent's due, I got to keep the power on. Um, my wife hadn't gone back to work yet, or soon to be wife hadn't gone back to work yet. Um, yeah, so like that financial struggle was probably the hardest one. Luckily, I was able to just Craigslist jobs, and um, I ended up building an arcade for my brother-in-law, and that was a bigger job, and that enabled me to actually save a couple bucks after that. But so I built a local arcade here in Dayton. It's called New Challenger Arcade. It's a full retro 80s arcade. It's pretty neat.
Okay.
So,
That's very good. Always it's good to, let's say, to have a new beginning. You know, it's always good when you know that the beginning it'll be better.
yeah.
So,
Oh,
yes.
go ahead.
Yeah, please, yeah.
So yeah, like something felt different after that too. A lot of the weight of like the stuff I had done in my past,
Hmm.
I didn't have that anymore. So I don't know if it was a spiritual event or mental, whatever it was. It after that overdose, it felt like that was wiped clean, and I think that helped, where I wasn't just like, I was ready to start over. I wasn't thinking how bad of a parent that I was for doing that, or how bad of a person I was, or none of that. I was, for the first time, like that weight was off my shoulders. I wasn't worried about that. So I was worried about what I need to do now to make
Right.
that not happen again.
Okay. Let's
So
thank you very much. So let's focus on now and later. So
Okay.
now I say that everybody has his own addiction, even it's not a drug or a alcohol or something else, but still we have our addictions, right?
Hmm.
So what is something that you love to do? You know, it's like you wake up in the morning and you're going to go there, you know, or you will do that, or what is something that makes you smile in the morning when you go in the mirror brushing your teeth and you say, I'm going to. So
So for, I mean, for me, it's like, it's the opportunity now. So because, I mean, you know, I worked 80, 100 hours a week a lot this summer. I did a lot of, I did nothing but listen to audiobooks, podcasts while I was working. So all this new information I've learned, all the new abilities I have because of the new knowledge that I now have. Because like I feel the more you know, the more you can do, and like if,
right.
you know, it's like a corny library saying, but it seems like really true. Um, so that's what gets me excited and keeps me motivated. After the first deal, which where I was still a renter, and I became a landlord while I was still a renter because I rehabbed a 4 unit with that partner. And money started coming in from the rent, and I didn't have to work for that. That was already done. That was a job that was done, and it was continually paying. And then now we're repeating that process. That inspired me for what I already love to do. I like to make old things new. So my company's date and renovation, and the definition of renovate is to take an old something old and bring it to a state of new, or good repair. And so I enjoy that anyways. I like working with my hands, I like building stuff. It's cool to be able to look back and a before and after picture of some gross dingy kitchen, and then it's all shiny and nice, and you know
So
that's what I like to do.
so it's like recreating first yourself, okay, molding
Yeah.
yourself, good one, and then you recreate whatever you touch. We say you turn it in gold, right?
Yeah, yeah. I wish gold. No.
Yeah, in one sense, okay, it is gold if you just make the exchange. So don't worry, it's gold.
It's gold.
Sometimes you take back more smiles, you take back a lot of I would say it, appreciation from people. You take something, okay.
It's true.
So can you tell us something about the value, let's say that, but I just want to connect back a little bit with your past. So the value that you thought about yourself when you were in that position as an addicted, and also now the value that you know about yourself. I mean, how, if you, I would say, asserting yourself, okay, my how to say it, it's like my value. So, and you put a line down and say, I have this plus this and minus this, and you say it's like this. So, a little bit in the past and now.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, prison destroyed my self worth and my confidence, and then addiction didn't make it any better. So, I mean, I was constantly like, absolutely hopeless. I was, extremely negative. I didn't have any self worth. I didn't think my life had value or meaning, or that there was anything I could do to help anybody else.
Right.
Um, Between being in a victim state to an extent, because like I talk about, prison or the drug addiction. I don't mean to come from a place of victimhood now, but I definitely did then. I blamed the system for the criminal justice system for putting me there, and those were all choices I made. I didn't have maybe enough knowledge to go on at 18 or 19, but it was still my fault ultimately. Um, so to go from hopelessness, no self worth, and just a negative outlook on the world, and then to now, one of the, like I mentioned, one of those biggest things was developing my self worth. So at first, I borrowed that from others. Like other people believed in me,
Okay.
and then that slowly started to make me believe in myself. And then certain little accomplishments along the way, like I mentioned, making something old new or rehabbing a place,
Hmm.
that starts to build your self worth because, like, hey, I can build things, I can, fix things. Um, and then hope, from hopelessness to hope, where I'm very optimistic about the next 5 years. So, like,
Okay.
this whole transformation was through a pandemic. Um, and that's, I mean, I personally know 4 people in the last month that have died from the virus, and
Yeah, it's a
all
big.
those things. But that doesn't affect me. That would have been an excuse for me a year or 2 years ago. That would have been, there's a virus. I don't, nothing should be expected of me. That we're locked down, all these things, to where that's just more time for me to do something productive or to learn more or to read more, spend more time with my kids.
Hmm.
Um, so I have hope for the future now. My self worth is up. And then I've actually found an outlet to give back as well. So I work with a nonprofit where I was in the Salvation Army, like absolutely homeless, going through the rehab
Hmm.
program. I've been actually able to work with those guys a couple times
Hmm.
and try to help them, get the ball rolling and get something started for themselves. So
Yeah, they're doing good job. Yeah, I've met some of
I
them. Yeah, they're very good. Yeah,
I
they have
love the
experience as
Salvation
well.
Army.
Uh, so, something that you would like to share with our audience about, maybe we didn't touch it at the moment up to now, so something that you want to share with our audience that you think it would be worthy to have it.
um, so I would say one thing I want to share before the end of the call definitely is that nonprofit that has helped me a lot. I actually wore their T-shirt today. Their slogan's "Dream it, plan it, live it." Um, but just that it doesn't matter what position you're in. I had $8,000 in debt at the beginning of the year. Um, just freshly sober. I was a renter. I had no home. I'd never been a homeowner or any of these things. Everything I found out, if there's a will, there's a way. If you want something bad enough, you can find a way to do it. And let's see, it's hard work, but if you want something bad enough, there's always, if there's a will, there's a way, or, if you have a strong enough why, you'll get there. And
Hmm.
then one thing I've learned over the last year is relationships and how much they matter. So through the pandemic at the beginning, me and my wife didn't, our goals weren't aligned and things got rocky, but we sat down, we worked on that relationship because we wanted it to work. So we made it work, and now we're probably we have the best relationship we've ever had out of, the last 8 years. Um, and then who you hang around with is your biggest influence for sure. You are the sum of the sum total of the 5 people closest to you. Good people started slipping into my life by me changing my habits, and I couldn't be more thankful for it. So
That's really good.
that
So you started to say something about in 5 years, right?
yeah,
So you have your plans in 5 years.
yes,
So uh, I will I will add 5 more extra years. Okay, let's say
okay.
now you're 30, so let's go to 40. Where, in which position you will see yourself? Let's say in not just in the business stuff, but also in the relationship and the other stuff as well. So it's like, okay, where do you see yourself? Okay, roughly, of course.
Yeah. 10 years from now, we'll be living on the West Coast or closer to it in the Rocky Mountain Range where I spent, my middle childhood. I want to give my kids that opportunity, or going to give my kids that opportunity with nature. I love connecting with nature. So 10 years from now, we will be somewhere closer to some gorgeous nature. Um, a little bit on the business stuff. I plan to continue what I'm doing. So hope, in 10 years that will have built up more. And then that passive income, that's a really big part for me. So that I'm not working until I die. like my mother's, almost 70, and there's no retirement outside of Social Security, and she has to clean houses to make it still,
Absolutely.
and so like just I by that time I will have put things in place that I'm building towards a retirement. That's really important to me. I want to be able, and I want to be able to free up my time for my family. So 10 years from now, I want to be spending, half of the week with, like as much time as I want with my kids and with my wife. And then I want to be in a position, or will be in a position to give back significantly more than I do now, not just financially, but
Hmm.
myself with my experiences. Not everybody can relate to somebody that's been addicted, or addicted to hard drugs, or in prison or anything. So there's groups of people that are harder to connect with, that I think my experiences will let me connect with, or hopefully help me impact that community. So the community where I came from, I intend to be giving back a lot more to that community in 10 years.
That's that's very good. Yeah, it's good
Thank
to
you.
hear that, especially from a person who has walked step by step on that. Yeah, and when you, especially when you know your where what you were, as you said, that you put it so nicely in your words. So,
Thank you.
and I like the ones that you said that I wanted to break that chain of of poverty and the things, is that is, yeah. Uh, what do you think? That's a question. Do all of the people have to go in this kind of crisis to be so down, and they have to start, or maybe they can find somewhere in the middle, or maybe a little bit lower?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Um, I mean, everybody has their own struggles. So I don't care if it's a rich housewife on, what is that? Housewives of Miami TV show or something, like everybody has their own struggles. So like my resiliency, I developed through, prison, drug addiction, poverty, all those things. That's not any different than the resiliency somebody else can build up from other, personal challenges. I don't care if you're rich or poor. There's things you deal with. There's mental health issues you have to overcome, or there's relationship issues, or we talked about cycles of poverty or cycles of abuse. There's all, whether we want to or not, we our kids pick up everything we do. So like I want them to catch me doing something good. Like I want to be the one that sets the new standard, or sets the new legacy for my family.
Okay.
I don't want to take it there, but no, sorry, I got off the track from resiliency. Yeah, everybody faces their own struggles, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what your struggles are. If it was the 2008 housing crisis, and you lost your job, and maybe you got foreclosed on, or you build resiliency through any obstacle.
Mhm.
um, you know Making it through college, I didn't do that, but somebody that's hard. I admire the people who were able to make it through college. That's
Mhm.
You sat down, you dedicated 2, 4, 6, 8 years to something, and you achieved it, and that kind of builds those building blocks and that foundation. So
Mhm. That's very
yeah.
good. Thank you. So, if you want to add something, okay. If not, I will ask you the last question.
Okay.
If you have,
um
maybe you think that you forgot something, or you want to add something to this. If
um Let me think.
Yeah, there are too
No.
many. I know. It's not
Yeah,
easy
yeah, I got.
sometimes, to pick up, because there are not just one thing takes you somewhere. It's like there are many things. So which one to choose now? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we will have maybe another time, no problem. So, uh, my last question is, what is your motto? Something that you have in the morning, your motto, something that motivates you, let's say.
Okay, so my 100% my motto is it always seems impossible until it is done. That's a quote. Oh, I'm gonna get it wrong now. I want
No, it
Nelson
was clear. At
Mandela.
least we understand. Maybe
Yeah,
you didn't,
yeah,
but it was good.
yeah. No, Nelson Mandela. It always seems impossible until it's done,
Mhm.
and I always think back to that because things get. I mean, things have been bad the last year, but to remember that there is the light at the end of the tunnel. No matter how hard things get or how many obstacles come in your way, because it hasn't been sunshine and rainbows all year.
Right.
There's every time I turn around, there's another roadblock or another something trying to slow me down, or more work needs to be done here, or something's wrong at at home, or whatever whatever it is. Um, it doesn't that sense of accomplishment doesn't necessarily come toward till the end sometimes, and it's hard to stay mindful and keep your progress in mind. But that reminder that it always seems impossible until it is done. That's my number one motto.
That's a good one. Very, very good one.
Thank you.
If somebody wants to be in touch with you, he resonated in the discussion that we had together, so in the interview. So where they can find you, we will write them down. But if you have something,
Okay. So there's literally sterlingshrout.com, just my
okay,
first and last name.com, and it's a website just to get the ball rolling so that people can contact me if they want to. It's got a way to contact me on there. It's got a little bit about my history and my story. Um, and then another one, Instagram. It's at Sterling Shrout. That's one thing about having a unique name is all the usernames are open. So or having a different last name, all the usernames are open. Um, so then that nonprofit I've been referencing to, that's One Life Fully Lived, and that's onelifefullylived.org. Um, they're the ones that uh, filled in a lot of gaps for me: vision planning, financial education, financial literacy,
mhm,
relationships, having a personal board of directors, and like how to structure relationships so that you maintain them and you put you keep up your half of the deal, or like friendships a two-way street.
mhm.
And then wellness, taking care of yourself, taking care of your body, your mental health, exercise, getting out in nature. I think you can see I got my this is all credit to my wife, but I think we've got 50 house plants hanging everywhere in the house, and so but yeah, and if anybody wants to talk, feel free to send me a shout out, and I'd love to talk to anybody. So
Okay.
anybody I could.
So I'm very happy to have had you in this interview, and just to know, even you become VIP, so just to know that we will interview you again because you're gonna be a great guy. So we would like
Thank
you
you.
to come back in our show, but still to speak as a normal person.
Absolutely.
So a pleasure again for having you here. And guys, if you want to follow us, just subscribe in our channels, and we will give you more and more stories, real life stories. Thank you again, Sterling. See you.
Thank you, Arthur. Thanks,
Bye.
BMP. Bye.